Anthony Adebayo. We off the record. Scotty B. We off the record. And the most accurate sports coverage. We off the record. Scotty B's Fantasy 5. We off the record. You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. We off the record. Anthony Adebayo. We off the record. And the most accurate sports coverage. We off the record. Scotty B's Fantasy 5. We off the record. We off the record.
We're different from any other sports show.
What's up, man?
Now, what's going on, man?
Shoot, man. Chilling, man.
Chilling.
Well,
this is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
It's your boy Scotty B. You know who we are.
You are rude. All right. So look. Before we start, let's give a quick rest in peace to Jerry Sloan and Eddie Sutton, two coaching legends that passed away over the weekend. And their legacies live on. And unfortunately they passed away.
Yeah, Jerry Sloan, I'm not gonna say I knew like a ton about Eddie Sutton, but you can appreciate Jerry Sloan. He was like I want to say like Popovich, because like he didn't have any championships.
Right.
But he was the model of consistency in Utah. His teams were always like there. Even when like Karl Malone and John Stockton, you look back at some of those teams like Deron Williams and Carlos Boozer and that. So he was just one of those coaches, kind of like a George Karl, that was still a good coach, but just couldn't necessarily get a championship. So definitely rest in peace, Jerry Sloan.
Man ran into Jordan, man.
Yeah, exactly. So look, before we get too deep into what we gotta discuss, I noticed on your Facebook page, man, you had posted you was talking about Michael Jordan and how
we're gonna go right there right now.
I want to go right there, man.
Ooh, okay.
So on this show, probably about 4 episodes ago, I dismissed it. I was just like, it made no sense. Now this evidence has surfaced. What are your thoughts, man?
All right, so here's my thing. Jordan is Jordan, and he is what he is, right? And no matter what, my fault. I'm recording and the TV going on. So no matter what, he is who he is. So if I think everybody had the sense that because he is who he is, and he didn't want to play with Isaiah Thomas, it was what it was. We took it for what it was. Nobody really cared. So my thing was during the doc, he said that, they asked him, did he have anything to do with Isaiah Thomas not being on the team? And he kind of like brushed it off. He said there was other guys that didn't, but he pretty much said he didn't have anything to do with that, right? Then, like you said, the recording came up, and my thing was this: why lie? Own it. It was 30-something years ago. Just own it.
Yeah, like you said, I don't think anybody would have thought differently of MJ had he owned it, right. Because obviously, like Magic Johnson and some of the other guys during the Dream Team documentary talked about how they didn't want him there either. So if he would have just said like, "Look, I ain't want to play with Isaiah Thomas," then it would have just been that. But to sit there and lie and say like, "Nah, I ain't had nothing to do with that," it's a bad look. The other thing I do want to bring up is I don't know if you saw, they said that Chuck Daly didn't want Isaiah Thomas there as well. And that's being kind of a little bit overlooked. I think that's huge.
That seems a bit, I don't know if I really believe that. Chuck Daly's not here to defend himself.
Right.
I don't know about that one. That was his guy.
I thought it was his guy too. So I'm just putting that out there that if that wasn't credible, are we making a big thing out of his Jordan time?
Are we making a big thing out of it? Maybe a little bit, but that's what we're supposed to do. We don't got nothing else. That's what we're supposed to do.
I think at the end of the day, we're all a little bored now that The Last Dance is over. So it was just one of those stories that just kind of came out that's like, all right, cool, we do have something to talk about.
Right.
But I do want to talk about something. I know we got some guests and we're going to let them do their thing. But what did you think about Major League Baseball's proposal to start playing?
Scott.
Hey, it's a legitimate question, man. It's a legitimate question.
All right, first of all, let's get one thing clear. I'm always pro players, right?
Okay.
Especially when it comes to getting paid. I'm always pro players. But to tell them to take pretty much a 66% pay cut is absolutely bonkers. And I'll cut the owners a little bit of slack, just a little bit, and say that they were like, this is our first offer. Because if this is their first and only offer, we ain't gonna see baseball this year or anytime soon.
Yeah, my man from the Mets, the pitcher, Paul, it's not my man's, but he said, like, look, I'm just working on life after baseball. Like it's not. But I did think, and me and you had discussed this a little bit, and I said it. I was like, look, this money, where is it gonna come from? You know what I mean? Like, it's nice to pay them their full salaries, but I was like, yo, some of these owners are really, really hurting. And just to see that, I thought it was just downright disrespectful.
Absolutely.
To offer them. I mean, the chart I saw, and I'll start from the top, it had, if you made $35 million a year, they were looking at paying you $7 million a year. And I mean, yeah, that's a lot of money to all of us, but that's $28 million difference from your salary. Like, where would that go over at?
I mean, do they not know that these guys do have a lifestyle?
Right.
No matter what it is, they have a lifestyle. So to say, hey, take this pay cut or whatever, that's just crazy. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, so again, like you said, that was the first deal. They're not going to take it. They're going to negotiate with it. I think a lot of them will hold out to get paid each game.
Okay.
That'd be part of the bargain that they move forward is maybe they do like each game or what they have on the table or what they want is that 50% revenue split with the owners, which I don't think is unreasonable. But to I guess the state of sports, if you're not drawing that revenue from sales or fans, a lot of teams are going to be hurting, and it becomes more or less the love of the game. Or do we sit out and just like resume once everything comes back up? So
it's gonna be interesting, man. But all right, so we've been trying to get some quality guests, and it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and Scott always messes with me because I like to get guests that has something to do with whatever's going on in the month. And he always laughs at me for whatever reason. I'm like, that's whatever. So anyway, let's bring the ladies in. All right, we got Star, we got Tanya, Sasha. How y'all doing?
Hey.
Thank you for coming on.
All right, so this is the Amerikan Therapy crew, right? Can I call y'all a crew?
Yeah, you call us a crew.
Yeah, so introduce yourselves. I tried, but it's better than
All right, I'm Sasha Nicole.
And I'm Star. And I'm Dr. T.
And so as you mentioned, we're Amerikan Therapy. We're the definitive podcast on all things Black mental health. We're helping people out here survive being Black in America.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now I will tell y'all this. Ant, he's gotten better with his introduction. So I know I saw the faces during the introduction. They were like, "Dang, really?" But he really gave an honest try with that. So
yeah, he did all right. But with that Cowboys hat on, I didn't expect much.
So look, what team are you a fan of?
I mean, home team, I gotta support the Redskins, but I can't talk. But I can talk smack.
They did get a good draft pick, so you know that's a good thing. So I'll cut him some slack there, but you know. So tell us a little bit about Amerikan Therapy and how you guys got started.
Start.
All right now, so basically Sasha and I have been friends for I don't know like how many years. It's been at least 12 years now, a long time. And I'd had this idea of like mental health being something that I wanted to talk about, but didn't know how to do it. Met with a couple of people, nobody was really interested, and then I'm literally at Sasha's house, we just kicking it, and she's like, we should do something together. And I'm like, well, I got this idea. And then we just start back and forth. And at one point she's like, let's call it Amerikan Therapy with 3 Ks. And I was like, no, because we gotta work and pay bills and all that. So we compromise on American with 1 K, and here we are with Amerikan Therapy. And then Dr. Royster, when our first show, actually, we scrambled. We couldn't find a therapist at all. Like, we had 3 people booked and everybody canceled at the last minute. And my chapter soror, Kristen, used to work for Dr. Royster, and she's like, hey, I know somebody. And so Dr. T was on the first show, and we just kept being like, so you going to be back next week? You coming back next week? And so I don't know if she still knows it, but she's part of the show now. So.
Okay. And so Sasha, you're a Virginia State grad.
I am.
Okay.
VSU.
Hey.
Lord, don't even ask Star what college she went to.
I'm a graduate of great North Carolina A&T State University, founded in 1891. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, my grandfather went there, so I ain't got too much.
Are you right?
Listen, we was at a conference in LA, and I don't know if it was Diddy or somebody said something about A&T, and this is how much I love Star. She was so hyped. This thing Aggie Pride. I said it with her.
They'll hear you.
Dr. T, what are you an alumni of?
So I'm an alumni of Purdue University and Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine. So Boilermakers. I'm from Chicago. So I'm actually Chicago Bulls. So
okay.
Without talking about Michael Jordan, don't get us started over here. Let's just get on with the topic.
But Isaiah Thomas from Chicago.
Oh, okay. I didn't fully.
He's from Chicago.
Yep.
Yeah.
It sounds about right.
and Scotty and I are Michigan fans.
Okay.
So you going to Purdue? I don't know how this is going to work, but at least it's not Michigan State. So I guess
that's right.
All right. So let me ask you a question. I know mental health is like big and everything. And I know as of right now in sports, it's it's a hot topic. So when you're dealing with how do you address guys or ladies that play sports that have different mental health issues?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, there's some additional stressors that athletes have to deal with, being in the limelight, being judged constantly, being criticized constantly. And the opposite end of that, they're always glorified and amplified, and then you can fall off of that, pedestal real quick. And that's a very, very hard thing to deal with. So it can be very difficult and very easy to deal with athletes, I guess, if you will. And the other thing is that there is an age range kind of between 14 and 25 when mental illness is at its peak. And so that's really the active lifespan of an athlete. And so they're very vulnerable at the time when they're also very exposed.
And so do you deal with athletes on a regular, or is it?
So I deal a lot with adolescents. I have done with some college athletes, and some WNBA athletes when I was in Chicago.
Okay.
But I do it mostly on the high school level, and they're already experiencing it, thinking about college and thinking about, what the demands are going to be and how to balance things and the pressure from the communities that they come from. It's a lot for a young person to handle.
So I got a question. Do you think African Americans struggle with getting therapy?
Absolutely.
That's a big one. Go ahead, Sasha. Come on, girl.
No, absolutely. I mean, we talk about it all the time on the show. Every topic that we have, it usually encompasses why we're not seeking the type of treatment that we should be seeking. There's huge disparities in almost everything from maternal health to, I mean, you name it. There's just disproportion in African American communities. And so part of our mission with American Therapy is not only to tackle certain topics that most people aren't talking about, and then obviously we have an amazing psychiatrist, Dr. Royster, who then provides that clinical advice, but it's also, encouraging people to be more open about, talking about stuff and saying, hey, like the way you would talk about sports, we should talk about therapy. Like I went to the therapist and I did this, like it shouldn't be, such an anomaly or you shouldn't be afraid to be able to say that I'm looking for a therapist or that I am seeking therapy. So, and that's part of what we try to do.
Well, I just noticing with other races, like you said, it is more casual conversation of, hey, I went to see my therapist or whatnot. But in our community, it seems like, oh, you're going to see a therapist? What's wrong with you? And It's like, how do we work to get rid of that stigma,
That's always the first thing that people say, Scotty, is, oh, what's wrong with you? And it's like, maybe there's something right with me that I know I need to talk to somebody, that I know I need to get help, and that I want to function better than I'm functioning. And I think for athletes in particular, anytime you have the spotlight on you, you can use that as an example, and they should be honest. Many more of them are in therapy than you would imagine. And they should be honest and let people know that, there's a lot of pressure, but a lot of times people think, well, you've made it, you got money, or people look up to you, so you shouldn't have any problems, but that actually may amplify the problems you already had.
That's a good one.
So I think that, athletes have a huge advantage that if they were more open and talking about certain things that, especially African-American community, we set the trends. Like we are the ones who make things cool. And so when you have more people speak out, you see just this influx of more of us who are interested in what they're talking about. So, I think that if more athletes did speak about if they're getting therapy or if they want to get therapy, you'd see a trend upwards and some more people seeking it out.
So how do you go about how should an athlete go about seeking out therapy or speaking about it and things of that nature?
All right, Dr. T, you want to take this one?
So they can start from a variety of ways. If they, depending on the coach, some coaches are open and helpful and engaging. And so if they have a great coach or a support system for the school or the team that they play for, they could start there. A lot of times they have connections, especially if they're still in the phase where they want to be discreet. I'm sure that they could help them find somebody, discreet, low key, help them do it that way. If they're more of a regular athlete, if you will, and they haven't made it to that strata yet,
right,
they do like everybody else and go through their insurance. And the insurance company always has therapists and doctors that you can use to have for whatever you need done. And then as a final thing, they could ask their primary care doctor. A lot of times the trainers, they know therapists and other sports psychologists, and there might be entrees that they hadn't thought about, because really it's a small world, and probably a trainer who's working with you has probably worked with someone else who has the same problem.
Okay. Before our next question, if anybody has any questions, don't be afraid to post them, and then we'll just show it and let the ladies answer the questions.
We took over your show today.
Hey, no, that's good. Hey, that's good. That's good. Okay. So I did have a question. You guys came in and you said that you guys like to talk about African American social issues. What do you think our biggest social issue is as people?
Ooh, Star, you've been on a roll.
Aimless energy. No. No, I think one of the things as African Americans is that, we are so passionate and so powerful, but often, I won't say often, there are times where we don't feel like there's someone to direct us. And I think in the past, maybe our understanding of our history, really, not really the past, but our understanding of our history is one, narrowed because it's being taught majority by an oppressor. So all we know is what Martin, Rosa Parks, and now Harriet Tubman, because they've chosen those three as and Frederick Douglass. So when you don't know your history and you don't really have an understanding of your own movement, you think that, okay, there was this one person, and then that one person handed it off to the next person. And so a long story short is that us not knowing us and not knowing our history is impeding us from taking the needed action on the social issues of today because we're waiting. We're like, okay, we're waiting. And then we're waiting and then we get some celebrities or some athletes, but I mean, basically Black celebrities tell us what to do. And while that's great, we've got two concerns because they, one, are being paid by the establishment. So how much direction can they provide? And two, we have professional activists, professional lawyers, professional doctors like Dr. T. We have professionals that are best and better suited to provide the right direction so that we're not being aimless, because we cannot continue to be symbolic. Clearly, we are dying every single day. When is enough? When do we get up and go to Capitol Hill and demand changes in our laws and our policies? The blueprints are already there. We did an amazing show. Everybody that's watching this needs to go to Amerikan Therapy with the K and look at season 2, episode 12. And I'm not just saying that as a plug. I'm saying that because Gerald Griggs, Attorney Gerald Griggs.
Plug.
I plug. You know what I'm saying. This is actually real information that, well, we always give real information, but this is poignant to today, right? So episode 12, we just dropped it on Monday. Attorney Gerald Griggs out of Atlanta, Georgia, he gives a master class on the legal cases that we as African Americans need to know. He gives up the books that we need to have read and know back and forth around how our justice system and how our civil rights movement came from where it was to where we are today, and how we need to take that blueprint and move it forward. And it's not a singular leader and us waiting for someone on a mountaintop. It's us individually taking action. There can be no more just standing still. And that is the issue I think we are facing, is that we are standing still and we're sad and we're upset. And some of us don't even want to be sad and upset. So we're posting, hey, I'm trying to mind my mental health, which is all great, but we're dying right now. So it's time to get in the fight.
No, you're absolutely correct. And one thing that you highlighted that I commend you on is we don't take ownership ourselves and like teaching our history or wanting to know more about our history. I think it kind of falls more with the adults. Like when we were coming up, a lot of adults were teaching us this stuff, but you see that transition kind of lost now. So I wholeheartedly agree.
I think again, we got to know our history, right? Because we got to know why that ball was dropped. And that ball was dropped because, one, you had the Vietnam War. And right after Vietnam War ends, we have the crack explosion and a drug explosion in all of our communities. And then we have other things that take place, like the retaking of African Americans' land through building highway systems and U.S. infrastructure. So all of those things are planned. All of those things are part of why we have a gap of adults who don't have that level of direction because it wasn't provided to them. But that's over with. We're adults. So if you don't have it, you need to get up and go get it.
Absolutely. And it's so easy to get. The information is easy to get.
If you drop Jordans today, if you guys gave like a code right now, it was like Jordan drop $50 for the latest whatever $300 shoes. Everybody would have that code by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. So we do have a question. So, what's your biggest fear during this pandemic? This is Scott's dad too, by the way.
Oh, come on, man. You ain't have
Y'all look just alike. Like, who didn't know that?
Dad got the mean profile picture though. Like, he's selling like 1,000 houses out here in the pandemic.
So what's your biggest fear, or what's the biggest fear during this pandemic?
Well, I mean, everybody's might be different. Mine is that we will not have learned anything from all this that we have gone through. I have really been doing a series during this pandemic to get people to think about what they value, what brings them joy, what brings them peace, what fills their soul, and what is soul crushing, and to rearrange some things when we come out of this and not just expect that we're going to go exactly back to where we came from, because in all reality, as Star just said, where we came from wasn't that great. So this is an opportunity for us as individuals, us as families, and us as cities, states, countries to reshape what's normal, to reshape what we do and how we do it, to place value where it belongs, to pay those who are underpaid, to make sure that there is healthcare that makes sense, to make sure that people have access and get insurance when they need it. They can afford food, that food can get to us. Like, this is an opportunity for us, like a moment in time. And my biggest fear is that we will miss it and not capitalize on it. Like, I don't know if we will ever see a time like this in our neighborhood where in our lifetime, where the entire world stood still. And if we're not taking that time to be reflective and rethink and come out of this thing out of the box, like, man, how can we make our world better? Then that would be a terrible shame.
Absolutely. Stars,
did you have anything? Yeah, that.
Sasha?
I don't know if I want to. I mean, I don't want to get us in trouble by speaking anything about this pandemic.
No, go ahead. Speak your mind. It's off the record. So
off the record, right? I don't really have a fear, to be honest with you. Like Dr. T said, I think that this has presented an opportunity on so many levels. This is not to dismiss in any way people who have gotten COVID, who have had loved ones who may have passed from COVID. It's just that my thoughts on it are a little bit differently in how to approach moving forward. I am one of those people who do believe that it's time to move forward, and it's going to be a battle of the fittest. What's the word? The system, Dr. T. When your system is good, I can't think of the word.
Oh, your immune system?
Your immune system, I think, is going to be a battle of the fittest immune system. And I think that this can be used as an opportunity to appreciate certain things. And so, excuse me, just as an example, my birthday was a few days ago. And this, as I said, this was one of the first times that probably in my life, one of the best birthdays I had, because it was a moment where I didn't focus on anything or anyone else. I focused on how I wanted to feel, what I wanted to do, and what I wanted to appreciate. And so, as Dr. T mentioned, I think that this could be used as a time to look at what we value, look at what we appreciate, whether that's in ourselves, whether that's in each other, our relationships, everything. And so for me, I don't walk outside the house fearing this pandemic. If anything, I hope that from an economic standpoint, that if I had to think of a fear, it would be like, man, like I am a little nervous of economically, what will this look like for me and my family along with other people? So.
All right. Star, nothing?
I'm gonna say ditto. They captured it perfectly.
All right, real quick, let's get to the winner of the week. Hold on 1 second.
No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner.
All right, so you guys may not know. Normally, my winner of the week is it's kind of a joking matter to where we're clowning around and we're talking about people that just really just messed up during the week. But my winner of the week this week is the officers that killed George Floyd. I'm not going to get too deep into it because I want you guys to kind of elaborate on that. But I just thought that was just a heinous crime. Just watching the video was just disgusting, to say the least. Just the arrogance that you could kind of see in the video while this man just struggled to live. So this week, those are my winners of the week. What are y'all thoughts on that?
Man, you bamboozled us. We thought it was going to be a joke.
Normally it is a joke, but we could not bring that up without you guys being on here.
Nah.
bad.
We're kidding with you, but we understand. Dr. Z, what you, from a health standpoint, what do you think?
So a few months ago, I did a post about the trauma we get from watching these things. And so I didn't even watch the video. Just from seeing the still picture, I knew everything I needed to know, right? It was, I could read the caption. I saw the picture. I didn't need to watch the video. And so I think that we are in that moment again where we're, oh no, once again. And it seems like these moments are coming closer and closer together, and people are getting more and more stressed out. It creates and intensifies the natural fear that we have as African Americans about walking down the street in America. And so it's disheartening, it's sad, it's scary. And as Star said, people get paralyzed because there's so much and you don't know how to tackle it. But there are things that we know, very concrete actions. I really appreciated the conversation we had on the episode that was just dropped this week. But I still think like most people are not going to go get Dr. King's book and read it and learn how to be a civil activist. But they can be informed about their local elections, and they can make sure they vote for people who are going to represent their best interests and not just follow the tide. And so we all have personal responsibility about how to change this. And I want people to protect themselves, as Star said, to not keep letting this stuff go into your soul. You knew the moment you saw that picture, the moment you saw the title, what it was. If you know that watching that is going to rile you up and make you have bad dreams or make you irritable and do all, then protect yourself and don't watch it. But that doesn't mean don't activate in other ways when the time is right. And there are elections going on every day in this country. There's a huge debate about mailing in our ballots this year. Are we in that discussion? Are we in that debate as Black people saying, yeah, we need to be able to mail in our ballots, So there are lots of things that we can do when these kind of things happen, and in between these kind of things happening, to prevent it from happening again. But watching the video over and over and over again, for me, is not helpful for us because it hurts so much that I think it paralyzes us.
It's funny that you bring up elections. What did you think about Joe Biden's comments?
Okay, look.
I'm sure to ask a question.
Inviting everybody to the cookout, okay? We bring everybody and their cousin. They can come to the cookout. They can eat the potato salad and line dance with us. And first of all, everybody shouldn't be at the damn cookout. And number two, all these people we inviting to the cookout, where are they today? I ain't see one post. I don't know what they doing, what phone calls they making, but where are they with? Are they standing with us with our brother being choked to death on the street? Because we inviting them to the cookout to go shake their booty with us and to rap with us and to dress like us and to try to make blackface makeup like us. So where are they right now? So I think it's our fault. We give entree into Blackness like it's, a Tic Tac. So, and he's an old white man. He is an old white man, and he says what he wants to say. My aunt used to work for him. She's like, he just says all kinds of crazy stuff all the time. That's actually who he is.
Yeah, do I think that he may have said some of it in jest? Yeah. But do I think that he still has roots of systematic oppression? Yeah, I do. And, I try not to engage in things politically because one of the things I feel like we are suffering from a Black perspective is that we don't allow each other to have our own opinions. It's like, so if I say I'm not going to vote blue, I'm every name in the book. I'm every coon that you can imagine. If I provide policy or any, it's never about our own thought process and opinion and feelings and facts. A lot of times it's about emotion. And so I think that with the Joe Biden comments, I think that he said what he wanted to say. Like, I feel like he meant that. Like, but he was probably like joking a little bit, but that's what he meant. You know, so because he felt comfortable. And so my issue is not necessarily what he said, it's the principle that why do we keep allowing these people to feel comfortable? And so credit that I would give, for example, to Eminem. You ain't never heard him say the N-word in one of his rap songs. You know why? Right. Because he's never felt, no matter how many black Dr. Dre's he done hung around, you know, he or the dude with the shower cap on his head, he's never felt comfortable to say that like that. And we make people feel comfortable to step into blackness to help them and then step out of it when it no longer serves them. And so I feel like, you know, Biden is one of those people like any other white candidate we've had that comes into the black community, shakes our hand, comes to church, kisses the baby, and then boom, they're gone. But what we have to do collectively is put our money up and require these candidates to, you know, do the same things that a lot of these other communities are doing, because, you know, unfortunately in politics, money talks. And right. Black communities, we have some money. We are, despite our numbers, we're leading in a lot of things of what we're spending on. So I think that it's possible to enact change and be an activator in certain things. But you know, I feel like I've seen people on social media be like, well, I don't care what he said, I'm still going to vote for him. And because I'm voting blue no matter what. And that is fine. My question to that would be, what are you actually voting for? Are you voting for a person you like over the other? Like, let's define the parameters of why these things matter, why local elections matter, and not about, well, I like this person more than the other. Or I feel like Trump is stupid. That's cool. But let's start talking about facts and policy. And I think that we have to take a look at that. And as Black people, a lot of times we don't want to fact check. We just want to go into like what we feel, and what we feel oftentimes has gotten us in trouble.
And we got to ask them about policy. Like, it's one thing to be like, oh, you know, what's your Black agenda? Dr. Royster always does this on the show. She doesn't give people like these open-ended questions. She's like, I think we had the show with the white ladies on talking about white supremacy and white race. She's like, well, where does racism show up in your life? Not are you racist? Like, right, you know, right. But that, like Sasha said, that takes studying. That takes knowing what we need and having real substantive questions, not the same old regenerated CNN with maybe a little hip hop on it questions for these candidates.
And just tie in that mental health component. Oh, right.
I was going to say, the only thing I would add is we often have this fantasy that candidates are going to be perfect. The candidates are human. And I just had this conversation with someone.
Like your pastor.
Yes, yeah, like the pastor, right? Yesterday.
Oh, you about to open up a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah, I want to hear the pastor story.
The reality is, we all say a whole bunch of things each and every day that we probably may or may not want repeated. And the question that I would have is not did he say it or didn't he say it, but how is he working with me to address the things that I need addressed? Because everybody gonna say something stupid at some point in their life. And if we crucify them, I don't know who's going to say something more stupid, or who's more likely to work with me in the end, who's more likely to move my agenda forward. That's what I'm going to measure when I decide who I vote for, who's going to keep my interest at heart, not who said one thing or whatever, you know, and then what's your judgment? What's your judgment? You know, the conversation that I was having the other day, they were like, well, if a candidate was smoking drugs, would that make you not vote for them? And I'm like, well, that can affect your judgment. So if you're voting on things and making decisions while you're intoxicated or high, I got a problem with that. Right. But not that I condone anybody sleeping with somebody outside of their marriage, but if you're doing that, that's not going to necessarily affect how you vote on my issues. So it depends on what you did, how I'm going to have that discretion is going to affect
what kind of drugs.
I mean, but I guess when you say that kind of could play into like judgment as well, as far as like being dumb enough to have an intern in the Oval Office to do whatever it is. I mean that's a judgment call as well. I mean, that's just bad judgment. But just real quick to go, because I know we got big on the politics, and with what Biden said, I think that people took that clip and didn't really listen to like the other parts that he was saying. Which when he was being asked about the crime bill that he signed and all those things, I was looking at his body language, and when he was being asked those questions, he did seem a little uncomfortable. You know,
He seemed entitled.
Absolutely.
Like it was like when you listen to the interview, it was like you can fact check me. Like he was just mad, like in it and entitled. Like why would you not ever vote for me? Especially if you're. That's why I say I feel like he meant that comment. Like
right.
I'm sorry.
I mean, no,
you're right.
No, you're right. And so here's the thing about that comment. Do I think he should have said it? No, but in the Black community, have people said it? Absolutely. Everybody said if you vote for Trump, we've seen people say, oh, he's a Republican, he's a Black Republican, and he voted for Trump. He's a coon.
But see, that goes back to Sasha's point, and that we can't continue to do that to each other. Like you have a different opinion.
No, I agree. And what I'm saying is that's how people, Black people have been feeling. Not even this is before Trump got here. If you voted as a Republican, you were looked at crazy in the Black community just because you didn't relate to whoever. And I think I agree that's an issue. So should he had said it? No. Have people been thinking that? Maybe not for Biden, but yeah, they was like if you're not like even the last election, if you're voting for Trump and you're a Democrat, or you're supposed to be a Democrat.
But that go back to what Star's saying too. We just keep giving everybody a pass. You know what I mean? Like we just.
Well, I'm blaming his aides because he said that only came out of his mouth because those are the conversations taking place in that office in Philadelphia or where or online or whatever. That comment. The way he said it, the way he mic dropped it, like he thought he had a high bar. He was like, "Oh, that's my hot 16, and I'm out." Okay,
right, absolutely.
And it didn't read the way that it was supposed to read. I guarantee you, someone in that campaign office was fired, or there were some hard conversations said. I really think it was a strategic, like it was like, bam, and I'm out, and it was like, ooh, no, you shouldn't have said that. But I think you can see that throughout their campaign. And I'm not saying I'm not going to vote for him or I am going to vote for him, but I think you can see it throughout their campaign that there's like a misconnect on the communication level as far as connecting with Black voters. And really and truly, like, I hate to admit it, but Trump is going heavy after Black voters, and he's not doing a bad job of it. I'm not voting for him, but I'm just saying I'm aware.
And let me touch on that real quick. When Biden said that last week, the first thing I thought of when he said it, I was like, he's trying to use Trump's tactics against him, because that was Trump's whole thing. He was talking about Hispanics. He was talking about women. He was talking about Black women, and it looked like it worked. It seemed like it worked because he got voted into the office.
Attorney Griggs had mentioned on the show last week that one thing about Trump is that he has provided tangibles to his base. And whatever you want to say about like when he went into them coal mine areas, all them areas, and said, white people, I'm going to do this for you. And lo and behold, white people, he did this for them, and every other thing that he has mentioned, it's just like Star said, I won't say neither here nor there, but I'm aware of, you can call, it's like people call the man so stupid, but I've noticed that his strategy has been ingenious, just like the t-shirt that came out, the next day that he did to poke fun of Biden, if you ain't Black, hashtag if you ain't Black. I was like, who the hell?
And they had that joint on deck. They were like, what? And I am not voting for Trump. Okay, I'm telling y'all, I'm voting for Joe Biden. I'm active in the Democratic Party. I'm a former Republican. I am a former Republican. That's, but I will not vote for Trump. But the Biden campaign has slipped so many times. They're missing their moment. They're standing back versus you cannot win a presidential campaign playing like defense, doing this. Oh, we're just going to keep letting him slip, because while we keep letting him slip, he's got a national stage that is unparalleled. And their voice is like, who, what, Biden, who?
Yeah. And I think Trump just has a lot of fans. I mean, he just has a ton of fans, and they follow his every word. So Dr. T, let me ask you this, and this plays into the mental health thing as far as like Black voters, right? At one point they were being turned away. We all know the story with civil rights and everything, how they fought to get voting rights. Do you think that that mentality is still around?
Well, I think the part of the problem is we don't all know the civil rights history and the turning away of votes and the literacy test to get a ballot. I think that history, as Star was saying earlier, has been lost. They don't teach it as a part of American history. My daughter actually right now is a junior in Washington, D.C., and she has a Black teacher, a Black man teacher for U.S. Government history and DC history, and he's taking it a whole different direction. So I'm like super duper thrilled. But the vast majority of students and young people who have come through the system in the last 10, 15 years, they don't know. They see the Black History Month little, you get to pick from your list of 10 Black people that we want you to know, and you get to do your little presentation. And so they really don't know our history, and they really don't know how incredibly important it is and how many people lost their lives and why this is so important. And so I think that they do opt out because they see like, well, we don't have a perfect candidate. We don't have a candidate that speaks to us. So we just gonna wait till the next go round. And so I really don't think that many people in this country remember the history. It's not that far, but somehow it's very distant in people's mind. And I think that if, to use Star's language, is the work of the oppressor, because if you keep that first and foremost in our mind, we'll stay activated and we will keep demanding change. And it's not happening.
Right. Right. And so I heard, this is, we saw the stuff with George Floyd, and I want to say it was probably about a few weeks ago, where you had people saying, why is race always brought into things? And this is probably right before Ahmaud Arbery got murdered, but they were like, you need to let it go, or I know you all heard that saying, you need to let it go. Let's try and move forward. But I feel that you can't really move forward until you take care of what's happened for X amount of years. They say, oh, don't bring up slavery because slavery was only 150 something years ago. It wasn't that long ago where it was ended. So I think that the mindsets of especially young Black men are all over the place, because is one day you walking down the street, you just jogging and you get killed, or you have a knee to your neck, and it's just something has, and we're all trying to figure it out, but something has to be done. Something.
I think that we owe it to ourselves to support each other, support ourselves, and to anyone who's in our life who isn't quote unquote Black. Like if you have a white friend, a white wife, whatever they are, I think you also owe it to, look at them and hold them accountable for being an ally. And I always say, in the interracial thing, like, if you can't look next to your spouse and know that they're willing to fight in it with you and understand, what it's like for you to be a Black man or a Black woman in this country, then there's a real problem. And I have a real issue with that, because it's important that we, if we're going to hold people accountable and that we hold ourselves accountable. And so it's just like us supporting each other, us, like Star said, being actionable, going to the local elections, not just mistreating each other, talking to each other with care, is just important. And as you mentioned, Anthony, and we're all over the place in regards to Black men, especially. There are a lot of Black women who, and people in general, who love Black men and who are supporting Black men. And Black men also, we have to make sure that we support Black women. So I think it just goes hand in hand with each other and really supporting each other. Like, we have to have dialogue. We have to be willing to have the tough conversations. And part of that includes even our mental health. And so for those who may be able to watch certain videos, for those who may not, we really have to be open to hearing each other and not missing each other. And then understand that for some, there are some people I've seen on social media who will say, well, if you ain't talking about it, then you don't care. That's unfair. Right. And that's not true. To do that to someone. I think that, it is possible to, talk about something and then do something else the next day. And that kind of gets dismissed. Or for some people, like Star is a huge legislation person behind the scenes that you wouldn't even know about. And so, you don't always know what a person is working on. But I do also feel like, we need to hold all of us accountable. And that includes our white counterparts. So, I was working at a company one time, I remember in the elevator, and the girl said, this was during the time where Freddie Gray got killed in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. And the white girl said something, I don't know why they're destroying their own stuff. And, I turned to her like, well, what do you think, Sarah? It's just, we have to be okay with saying Karen, it's not cool. It's not cool. And we gotta talk to each other too, man. We gotta talk to each other. Star would always say, in kindness, and that includes on any opinion that we feel, because the one thing that we need in this country is we need support from a variety of different systems. So, we do need our allies, to be honest with you, and we need each other. So.
And there's things we can do, right? So we know that Eric Gardner died, 2012, I think.
I think so.
Around 2012. And then a year after that, they did the Obama administration. And this is in our episode, season 12, the one we just dropped this week. And so please listen to it and take notes on it.
Subscribed.
Subscribe, listen, and like. But in that episode, Attorney Griggs goes through that. There is something right now, specifically with this situation, because it's almost identical to our brother Eric Garner, who was killed almost in the same exact way. In a response to that and other cases, but that was the match that lit the Obama administration to have their Department of Justice to do an assessment of policing in America. So it's on DOJ's website, the Department of Justice 21st Century Policing Assessment. It's got its own webpage. There's 94 recommendations in there that if they've been implemented, I think based on reading through those recommendations, it would be much more difficult for what happened to our brother to have happened. And so there's stuff that can be done. That those 94 recommendations are there. Our legislative body and our legislators that we vote in, they are aware of it. However, what they know is that we're not aware of it. And so what we can do this week is call our representatives and our senators at the federal level, find out who your representative is and who your senator is, and ask them a Dr. T question. What's your plan? What is your plan to start implementing those 94 recommendations in that 21st century policing plan? How and when? How fast are you going to start implementing that?
I think that people, like you said, Anthony, Black people want to move forward. White people, we all want to move forward. White people want to move forward. The stress of living with this, no matter what color you are, it ain't fun. But the problem is, if you think about it, I like analogies, right? So if if America was built on a train track, if we keep moving forward on the same track, we're going to keep getting the same thing that we keep getting. That's why it's so important for us to look at these systems to dismantle, deinstitutionalize racism so that these things don't keep happening. If we just keep moving forward. That's what we've been doing for the last 400 years. We're moving forward on the track and nothing is changing. So it's going to be critically important for us to vote, for there to be legislation, for there to be policies that undo and change the track that we're on so that we can move forward in a new direction.
Absolutely. No, but all right. So before we run out of time, y'all let everybody know how they can reach y'all individually, as a group, and as a label.
All right. Well, you can follow us at Amerikan Therapy on all platforms. That's American with a K. We have merchandise. When you go to our page, it has our individual Instagram names. If you want to take a look, follow us. Star, what's the number that you can also text us? We have merchandise. Hold on, give her a second. We gotta pull up the number because you can text us for insight, information, anything. Dr. T, what you gonna say?
Yeah, I was going to say, and you can follow me at Dr. T for a Better World on Instagram, or Tanya A. Royster, MD, on all other platforms, including YouTube.
All right, so when me and Ant coming on y'all show, we inviting ourselves.
Which I want to talk about.
Wait, no. We host off the record. I can't come up with a topic. I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that.
Y'all come on. We make people cry on our show. We
Oh,
have people tell all kinds of crazy stories and cry.
Yeah,
we might just have to listen.
He said he's not ready to cry.
So
black men cry. That's the topic.
Why don't black men cry?
Okay,
that would be a great one. That would be a
good topic. Yeah,
that's a good one.
That would be a great one.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here.
It ain't soft. You can cry.
Yeah, absolutely. Just not in front of people. But I'm just kidding. You can cry. But okay, so what's the phone number?
It is 202-800-2355. Again, that's 202-800-2355. Text us, we respond. People are always surprised when we're like, hey, what you want to hear about?
Awesome.
Yeah, and tune in every week, download YouTube, all that. And I'm telling you, like, we got some good stuff up there.
So what days does it drop?
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays. Okay. All right. So again, I appreciate it. I know Scotty appreciates it. Anytime y'all want to come on here and talk those crappy Redskins or whatever. We can have a political talk. Clearly,
hey, so if the stadiums are open in the fall, you going or not?
So here's the thing.
We've talked about that.
We have. So the plan before all of this happened was because Scotty's a 49ers fan, I'm a Cowboys fan, and they play each other this year in Dallas. And
nice stadium.
Yeah, but I'll say this. Me personally, I wouldn't mind going. I just need to know that they have more testing. Scotty thinks you need a vaccine. I think you should have more testing. Just because I think more testing is the first step, And I do think they're going to play a full season. Now, how many fans? I don't know.
I don't mind. I'm going. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that too, because here everybody's probably gonna have to wear masks, and things are just changing.
They gonna sit there with the mask, drinking the beer and eating hot dogs.
I mean, I probably would go. I can't say I won't right now. I can't say that I won't.
I'll meet you there.
Yeah, I want y'all to watch it at home. So, hey, man.
I'll be at home. People don't hold their social contracts. We do a lot of this, but then behind the scenes, we be like, man, I seen people go places sick, know they sick, and be like, girl, this is allergies. You is sick.
Nah, I don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to that, but other than that, I'm comfortable with it. I'm all right with it.
I mean, just continue to wash your hands. And be
smart
stop
about
being
it.
nasty. Yeah, don't be nasty. But yeah, so I don't know, man. I think I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens in September. My mom may change then. I'm
And look, you know, in Dallas too, down in the heart of Texas, they ain't wearing no mask in that stadium. Come on now, that's Trump country.
Star, we about to fight.
You know what? I'm about keeping it real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, I'm
we
with that.
appreciate y'all. Thank you for having us.
Definitely.
Thank you for coming on.
Definitely. All right, y'all take it easy.
All right.
All right, bye.
All right, so Scotty, we got like 2 minutes.
Let me cut the light on, man. The joint got dark on me in the.
That's why you gotta get a ring light,
tripping.
Man. So look, while Scotty walks through the house,
trying to figure out my lights and stuff.
Like he ain't been there for years, but
I had like a nice little view going on outside.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what, man, I want to let the sun kind of come in and do.
You remember that happened to me too. That happened
man. And I was like, oh wow, it got dark on me.
So again, I want to thank the ladies from Amerikan Therapy for coming on. They provided a lot of information, a lot of quality information.
Right.
And but before we go, follow us on YouTube as well. Off the Record, we'll post a link on Off the Record page. But the Off the Record show on IG, on Twitter is the OTR show. My personal Instagram is Vipers31. Actually, it's Vipers31 on Twitter as well, and IG. And Scott, you could go with your stuff. Do you remember?
I don't even remember my joint.
So you can follow Scott. You can follow Scott on IG at Scott Q Smith. That's it, right? Yeah, Scott Q Smith.
I gotta get something going, man.
We got you, man. We're gonna take because Scott.
Scott,
it's been years now.
You, Tiffany, Tasha, y'all hold the social. Yeah, y'all hold the social media, the emails, all that. I know they be looking like, dang man, this dude gonna start a watch party. He gonna do something on social media.
It happens, but again, yeah. I'm glad you said that. But shout out to the Tiff and Tasha. They trust me, they do a lot for us.
Absolutely behind the scenes.
Yeah, so shout out to them. Check us out on bliss.fm as well, /Off the Record. And with that, I say goodbye.
All right, man. I'll holler at you, man.
All right, man.
We'll get up Sunday.
Oh! All right, real quick. So Scott is in the battle. So I lost on Sunday. We're going to get Marcus. Marcus will probably be here next week or whatever. But I lost. I'm not going to say anything about the judges. I lost. I'll just say I lost. But Scott, him and Ern, they are here. So this Sunday, Scott versus Ern. We'll see.
So I'm about to cheat a little bit. I'm about to get my wife to help me out now.
That's preparing. That's not cheating. That is preparing. I'm sure Ern is watching, and I'm sure he's gonna be preparing as well. So, hey man, we're gonna talk about it. That might be the first block, and we might get both of those guys on here, Marcus and Ern. It feels kind of like WWE, like tag team, tag team titles is up for.
I'm in the battle.
So
I told Ant this morning. This is for Love and Ern. I'm about to go to work. No.
Now
the show is over.
So Love is not gonna be in it. Love is not gonna be in it.
Oh, so it's just me and Ern.
It's just you 1-on-1. 1-on-1.
All
right. So we'll see, man.
We'll see. We'll see. It's a battle.
This is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
It's your boy Scotty B.
We out of here.
Peace.